along with us as we explore Florence, Pisa, Lucca, and the Cinque Terre. All of these places deserve more time, but 4 days is all we had. We're bringing you the highlights so that you can get a taste of how you want to spend your time on your next visit to Italy. Of course, we still managed to squeeze in an evening of wine and food tasting. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
So we had a seamless train ride, and here we are in the beautiful Firenze. We're looking forward to introducing Florence to our daughter, and that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Our daughter joined us for 2 weeks in Italy, and she wanted to see as much as possible.
Elegant, artistic, historic Florence needed to be one of our home bases. We have a full series from the Amalfi Coast if you want to check that out. And next week we'll be bringing you with us to Verona and Lake Como to close out that bit of our Italian travel. Stay tuned until the end, where we give you prices for everything we spent.
When we visited Florence in 2017 and 2019, we fell in love with it. The beautiful artwork, the history of Florence, and the scenic river views all dazzled us. In 2022, we returned to see if we could live here as expats, and for whatever reason, the city seemed different. It wasn't as charming for us.
It just didn't have the vibe we expect when we visit Florence. But when we returned this year, it somehow felt more like the city we first fell in love with.
There's plenty to do in Florence, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but it's also central to so many other parts of Italy. We absolutely love the extensive and inexpensive train network that makes day trips so easy and convenient.
As far as food goes, our daughter had an agenda of trying all the panini we could. So our first stop on the first night in Florence was a place that was literally across the street from us on our very first trip to Florence. We didn't know what the fuss was that was creating the long lines when we were first there. But now that we're back, Al Antico Vinaio has a series of shops on this street to keep up with the demand for its crunchy, hearty panini.
There's a second one, and a third one. And years ago, that used to be open too. I don't know if it still is.
Okay. So one of the favorite places in Firenze for panini, and they're huge. We've had these before in years past, and now you can get one per couple. You can just see how much, whatever you get on, there's a lot of different varieties. The prosciutto, the crudo, the ham, the mozzarella, the buffalo, there's a lot of different things. Bread is very crisp and plenty of it.
And usually very fresh and flavorful, and you can get a little glass of vino. There's not really any formal seating. You're sitting at a bar.
We'll go hungry. Not Firenze.
We knew we had a big day of exploring Firenze, and Megan found a humble, unassuming panini place called Pino's Sandwiches. Being the supportive dad, I stepped up and joined her in this early morning feast.
So we're here at Pino's Sandwiches.
Yes, and it's early, but it's okay because I'm hungry. And I got the beige, B-E-E-G-S version, and I swapped the roasted tomatoes for the fresh ones, and I got the salsa picante. Compared to yesterday's sandwiches, this panino is much lighter focaccia. Good taste though. I really like this. Actually, I like it a little bit better than I had yesterday, to tell you. So, the place is really nice. It's kind of off the beaten path, so you're not fighting tourists and other crowds.
But you should be. It's what I'm hearing you say. That it's tasty enough.
Yeah,
and it was very humble inside.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a neighborhood deli and isn't as flashy, but it's definitely a place to check out. It's got a small but growing following here as well, so come early before the lines start.
Wine windows have been around since the early 1600s, but they made a revival during the pandemic. Walking around Florence, you can easily find the wine windows, just look for the long lines.
Grazie.
Life isn't only about panini, especially when you're in Italy. So we stopped at La Bucchetta for a splurge meal. The pasta and the Parmesan wheel are a bit touristy and showy, but our daughter really loved it. And Kevin's steak was out of this world.
The steak is dry aged.
And I was going back and forth between multiple steaks. There's, of course, the Florentine steaks, and then there's this ribeye, which is pre-sliced. They do it in slices, and then they had some fillets. But I kept coming back to this because ribeye usually has a beautiful taste to it. And this has so much flavor. This is some of the best steak I've ever had. Would do again, 100%.
And my gnocchi was as flavorful as it was beautiful. And it has stracciatella cheese, which is very melty and stringy, and some sort of pork cheese, which actually tastes a little bit like bacon. And beautiful little flowers. It's very, very flavorful. Wow, it's really good. And these little specks of spicy red sauce are a great compliment too. It's really good. They have some heat. I'm sure if you mix it up, but it gives your whole mouth a tingle. So it's awesome.
So one of the better gnocchis you've had?
Yeah, it's really good.
Excellent.
It's very light tasting. Florence, or Firenze in Italian, is known as the birthplace of the Renaissance. We love it because all of the legendary people who lived here and were inspired by the city to do amazing and brilliant work.
There's something special and inspiring to have our footsteps mingle with those of so many creative geniuses. We didn't have time to hit all the must-see places that we visited in the past, so for this trip, we focused on some special highlights.
One of our favorite things to do is to walk along the Arno River. There are some great gelaterias across the river, and it's a perfect place to watch the sunset. We recommend you try all the gelaterias to find your own favorite.
Spanning the Arno River is Ponte Vecchio, which dates back to the 14th century. Originally it was a home to butchers and tanners, but in the 1500s, the powerful Medici family ordered the removal of them because of the unpleasant smells they produced.
They wanted Florence to be better aligned with the Renaissance ideals of art and luxury. So now virtually all the stalls here sell gold and jewelry.
Of course, there's the world-famous Duomo, which unfortunately is under construction right now. In addition to its landmark dome, which is one of the largest in the world, it's recognizable by its pink, green, and white marble facade.
Just a reminder that if you're planning to go inside and are a woman, you'll need to cover your shoulders and your knees. Its official name is Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. Construction began in 1296 and took nearly 140 years to complete. It's free to visit, but if you want to climb up to the dome or visit the bell tower and museum, you need to buy tickets. That's about 460 stairs, so be prepared to get a workout.
And those sell out early, so book before you travel there.
The Duomo tour line goes back further than we can see.
Just across the way is the matching baptistry of San Giovanni, famous for its bronze doors.
So we're in this line for the Galleria dell'Accademia, and we actually had reservations with a group that gets us inside. So we're at the red point for a 12:15 entry. If you don't get one of those, you stand in a line for tickets, and then you just queue up in a general line.
Well, you don't, because they were all sold out until June 14th.
Oh, so you don't get those.
So we paid extra, like almost double, in order to get group tickets, which allowed us to not have to wait. I think normally tickets were $16, 16 euro, and ours are 32.
But if you wanted to get tickets today, you could not?
You could not.
Okay.
I ordered them maybe 4 days ago, and they were sold out until June 14th.
Wow.
And today's June 8th.
So plan ahead again.
Florence wouldn't be Florence without Michelangelo's statue of David, which is at the Galleria dell'Accademia.
It's a rather small museum with some lesser works by Michelangelo, as well as paintings by Botticelli and musical instruments from the Medici collection.
If you're not familiar with the Medici, their wealth allowed them to exert significant influence over politics and society in Florence in the 1500s. They basically ruled over Florence during much of the Renaissance period and were huge patrons of the arts and also science, funding Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and even Galileo.
We didn't visit these this time, but we recommend both the Museo Galileo and the Uffizi Gallery, which has a collection of 1,500 works of art, including many must-see masterpieces from the Renaissance period, as well as other eras.
Both the Uffizi Gallery and the Galleria dell'Accademia have long lines, so book well in advance and get the skip the line tickets if you can. High on our daughter's list was visiting the Cinque Terre, famous for its 5 quaint villages along the Ligurian Sea. There's a path called Sentiero Azzurro, the Blue Trail, beloved by hikers, but we opted to focus on 2 of the most picturesque villages, Monterosso and Vernazza, but we didn't hike them.
Monterosso al Mare is the largest of the villages and has the most extensive sandy beach. It took us 2 hours and 38 minutes by train from Florence.
So we just arrived in Monterosso, which is one of the villages of Cinque Terre, and it means mountain of red-headed people.
I thought it was a red mountain. It's like, no, just the people that lived here were redheads.
I think the wealthy family who probably owned it.
Unfortunately, it's not a beautiful day like it has been in other places, but I hear the water, I hear the waves, and it's a nice trip.
Unfortunately, the beach isn't a great option if the weather doesn't cooperate. Shortly after we arrived, we got showered with a downpour. 3 new umbrellas later, the skies cleared up somewhat, but there was still some gloom to the day, so it wasn't the picturesque scene we'd hoped for.
How's the water?
It's chilly.
Those aren't your flip-flops.
No, they're not. And this isn't really secret. It's crunchy little pebbles. I don't know if that's going to be easier or harder to get off my feet, but it's a chilly day and that water is cool. Now, maybe it will feel better if it were a hot day. It's not terrible.
Yeah. Well, they said the water warms up around September.
Yeah.
We're not staying that long.
I would say it's refreshing.
Ah, okay. Like the rain we just had? Yeah, that was refreshing.
Plus a blast.
From the beach, you can see the Il Gigante statue, which represents Neptune, the Roman god of the sea. It suffered significant damage during World War II and from severe storms, so Il Gigante lost his arms, his trident, and the giant seashell he held. Regardless, it's still an iconic symbol of Monterosso al Mare. Vernazza is often considered to be the most beautiful because of its picturesque harbor and colorful houses. And it's a very speedy 3-minute train from Monterosso.
So after a blazingly fast train ride, we are here in Vernazza. And this is the second of 2 cities in the Cinque Terre that we're going to visit. But I just had a drop of rain on us, and we spent €30 on
Three umbrellas. So that's how we stopped the rain from hitting us in the last spot.
But I don't know what ace we have up our sleeves.
Well, now we have the umbrellas just in case.
To negotiate with Mother Nature. I don't know. She knows we have them. It's not working for her.
Well, these stations are all about 3 or 4 minutes apart, all the way along this. So we just hit 2 of them that were very quick rides. But it's supposed to be sunny still. I mean, we didn't change places that much.
No, we didn't. But we did feel a couple of drops when we were having a aperitivi in
Monterosso. All right, let's check out this one.
Delicious Luck. It's beautiful so far.
Yeah. not something you see all the time in a hillside beach area. Hello.
Hello.
See the foosball table?
What?
It's just over there. Vernazza's
That's
foosball
crazy.
table. We're good.
For the 50,000 people here,
Yeah.
here's one residential-sized foosball table.
That's it. You want to play a game? Line up. 50 cents.
There you go. Il Parata della Cinque Terre in Vernazza, and we had a very lovely lunch, and the owner is from Sicily, and he told me that we have never had a cannoli like what he has made for us today.
Now in California, this is the cannoli. We try to do the best. Bon appetit.
It was fresh filled, and he said that he makes all of his own patisserie. So let's see if this is the best cannoli I've ever had. And I like cannoli.
There's
I
chocolate
can already
chips
see
and
how-
pistachio.
I can already see how creamy it is. And it's made with ricotta,
It's crispy.
and it's crispy. That's pretty good.
It ranks, huh?
It does rank.
Lovely presentation.
It's very, very good. I'll say maybe it's the best one I've ever had.
There you go.
It's definitely some better than some that I have had in Sicily. And cannoli is a Sicilian dessert, so you have to be mindful about where you're getting it.
Our train from Vernazza back to Firenze was 2 hours and 34 minutes.
So we're doing one of the most touristy things that we've done, I think, in our entire lives. And that is taking a 1-hour quick trip to Pisa to see the Leaning Tower. And it goes against everything that I've ever done before. I feel like there's probably some beauty to Pisa that we're missing by only spending an hour here, but we're gonna do it anyway.
We got to fit some other things in, and we got to get to Lucca. So Pisa was on kind of an easy path to it. We said, let's just do it. We've missed Pisa the last couple times we've been here, so we're just doing it anyway, touristy or not.
It's only an hour train ride from Firenze. The walk from the train station to Piazza dei Miracoli, Square of Miracles, where the Leaning Tower sits, is only a kilometer, so if you're taking in the sights along the way, it'll take you about 20 minutes or so. There are directions along the way, and it's pretty straightforward.
For the record, if you visit Bologna, the people will brag that they have 2 leaning towers there, so you might want to include it on one of your trips to Italy like we did, along with Lucca, where we were considering them both as a home base before we decided to travel full-time versus becoming expats. There actually is an 11th century cathedral here, another baptistry of St. John, which is the largest in all of Italy, the Museo dell'Opera del Duomo, a museum dedicated to artifacts of the Leaning Tower and the cathedral, a walk along the Arno River, and a 16th century botanical garden, so there is stuff to do if you want to stay longer.
What'd you find? You find something?
Actually, so much more beautiful than I thought.
Oh, it's very
Wow.
bright.
People are up there. I wouldn't have thought you could.
Interesting.
Pisa lives up to its hype for being one of the most touristy cities in Italy, and like most people, we didn't spend much time here.
Everyone's trying to get a picture of them holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That's hilarious.
We included Lucca on this trip because it's a very charming town, renowned for its intact Renaissance-era city walls, which fully encircle the old town.
So next stop on our whirlwind day is Lucca, which we visited before. We have an episode 6 cities in 12 days, where we spent a couple of days, I think 3 days in Lucca, to see if it was a place that we wanted to live. Well, we decided to go to a nearby vineyard for drinks and charcuterie later on, and we thought we would explore the city while we're here.
It's a beautiful city. We love to show it to our daughter. One of the few remaining cities in Italy that has a full wall around it, so it's worth the trip. And even though it's too small for us to consider as a permanent spot, I wouldn't miss seeing it.
And it is just really a charming city. So if you haven't been here, we hope you enjoy what we have to share with you today. Unfortunately, it's a rainy day, but
Maybe for just a little bit, maybe not all day.
fingers are crossed.
Yeah. It was a wet day again when we arrived, but that didn't dampen our spirits.
It's also a quick 27-minute train ride from Pisa. The last time we were in Lucca, we took a bike tour on top of the wall, and if it weren't so wet, it's also a great place for a picnic.
And even though anyone who visits loves it, it's somehow not super touristy.
What's the word on the pizza here at this place?
Oh, stupendous. It was so good. I was not hungry at all, and it really wooed my heart. So delicious.
Just the little thin bites of pizza were just so good.
And they had told us at the vineyard we're going to, Fattoria al Dotto, that we should eat a very light meal early because it's going to be a lot of food. So I didn't really want to have anything, but honestly, it was too hard to resist here.
Just a margarita and the cacio di pepe. Both those pizzas were just amazing.
Yep, quite tasty. Lucca, you've done yourself proud.
Yeah.
Piazza del Amphitheater, or Amphitheater Square, is one of the most charming places in Lucca. The square was built on the site of an ancient Roman amphitheater dating back to the 1st and 2nd centuries. The original amphitheater could seat around 10,000 spectators and was used for gladiatorial games and other public events.
Now it's a lot of eating and just people enjoying themselves. A much better pastime.
Yeah, it was repurposed in the Middle Ages because it fell into disuse, and then it was dismantled and the stones were repurposed for other buildings, as you could easily see.
As happens all over Italy.
We drank plenty of wine during our time in Italy with our daughter, but we hadn't scheduled any wine tastings. Fattoria al Dotto was highly recommended to us, and it was near Lucca, so we definitely wanted to make a plan to visit there. We have had tours of many wineries and vineyards over the years, so we were looking for a place with scenic views, good wine, and some tasty charcuterie. Fattoria al Dotto actually had more of a meal that they paired with the wines.
First tasting, the white wine is very crisp and refreshing, and I'll tell you, their olive oil, which is produced on property, is so buttery delicious. Honestly, I could drink it.
Save it for the wine. Save it for the wine.
Like most places, you want to book in advance. Their first reservation time was at 4:30 p.m. We had a very hard time getting a taxi from Lucca to take us to the winery, so we ended up going to a restaurant with outside seating near Porta San Pietro and having them call one for us.
Arrive early at Fattoria al Dotto to ensure you get a better table. Ours was decent, but there are some right on the edge of the vineyard that offer stunning views overlooking the vineyard.
Likewise, on the return, give yourself more than enough time for the winery to call a taxi for you. We probably waited over half an hour for one to show up.
It's not a bad idea to pre-arrange one in advance if you don't mind giving yourself a deadline to wrap up. They suggest giving yourself 2 to 3 hours for the wine and food tastings. We probably were closer to the 2-hour than the 3-hour mark. We also didn't have success with using either the IT Taxi or Free Now taxi apps, but you might want to try App Taxi. There's no Uber or Lyft in Lucca. In Italy, drivers start the meter from the moment they get the call, no matter where they are, so don't be surprised if there's a charge already on the meter when you get in.
The train back to Firenze from Lucca took 1 hour and 43 minutes.
So what did we pay? Our 2-bedroom Airbnb, centrally located near the Duomo, cost $871.13 for 4 nights. We snore, so we couldn't get by with a hotel with 2 beds when bringing our daughter. That worked out to be $217.78 per night. We were fine with this trip to blow our budget a bit, but that was pricey.
The train from Firenze to Monterosso cost us €22.75 apiece. Monterosso train to Vernazza cost €10 apiece, and from Vernazza to Firenze at €22.25 apiece.
The next day, our train from Firenze to Pisa cost €9.30 apiece. The Pisa train to Lucca was a mere €3.90 apiece. The train from Lucca back to Firenze was €8.40 apiece. We split a taxi to get back from the wine tasting to the Lucca train station, and that was around €25.
Pino sandwiches were €6.50 to €7 per panino. Atlantico Vinai's panini cost us €8 apiece, and a glass of their Red House wine was €3.
Our Skip the Line hosted time entry tickets to the Galleria dell'Accademia were €32 apiece from Crown Tours, but that did not include any sort of tour, which I do recommend getting. In 2017, we took a Walks of Italy, Florence in a Day with David, Duomo, Uffizi, and walking tour that we really liked. We'll link it below. Pizza at Pizzeria da Francino in Lucca was €28.50, which included a margherita pizza and a cacio de pepe pizza, a glass of wine, and 1 bottled water.
We paid for the traditional wine tasting at Fattoria al Dotto, which was €30 apiece, and was way more food than we could eat.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Next week, we take you along with us to one of our all-time favorite places, Verona, and also Lake Como. We'd love for you to subscribe if you're not already, and sharing our videos and our website info with your friends and family is one of the greatest compliments you can give to us.
And check out findingginery.com, where you can find out more about us, read articles, or check out our user forum.
Until next time.
Until next time.
So we're here at Il Parata, Bella Five Terra.
Cinque Terre.
Oh, of course.
Let's start that over again. Come on.